Just wait a few minutes while people show up.
They're out. How frequently are you guys doing this now?
I think we're bi-weekly around there. So hi, if anyone is joining us, we're just waiting a couple minutes to let everyone filter in. So we'll get started in a few minutes. Okay, we'll give it one more minute before we kick it off. Alrighty, well, we'll kick it off here as people continue to filter in. Welcome. So thank you for joining us today for our latest edition of Club Caddie Chronicles. Before we kick it off, I just want to let everyone know that we do have previous episodes of Club Caddie Chronicles that can be found on our website under the resources tab. We've spoken to so many wonderful industry professionals who have shared their knowledge, including our special guest today. So our special guest today is Anella Nova. She's a social media strategist and avid golfer. I believe she has a scratch handicap. Correct me if I'm wrong. And she also has over 15 years of experience in the marketing industry as content creator and digital media designer. She has created content for celebrities, professional sports teams, the PGA, and Fortune 500 companies. More recently, Anella has pivoted her career to focus solely on the golf industry. So Anella works with companies and individuals in a variety of capacities, including content creation, developing social media strategies, consulting, and delivering campaigns. So today she's here with us to share her insights and expertise in the social media field, especially as it relates to our audience, golf course operators and instructors. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Anella. And if you could just give us a little bit of a background, kind of how you came into communications and marketing, and ultimately what led you to focus solely on the golf industry.
Yeah. So when I got out of high school, I didn't go right into college like most people. I started a family, and when my kids got a little bit older, I started college at that time. I went to the UW. I got a degree in marketing and communications. And then by that time, my kids were maybe about 5 or 6, and I was almost done with my college degree. And so we put them into golf lessons. And I was 27 when I started golfing. It was a little bit sooner where I was here and there messing around at the driving range, but never did I think that I would become a scratch golfer. It was just more or less something to do to burn time. And with my degree in marketing, I had worked for Facebook. And so while my boys were in lessons, I wanted something to do. And so I started taking lessons to burn time, and I picked it up pretty quickly. And I decided I was going to go out on the golf course. And my instructor was like, "You're not ready to go on the golf course." And I was like, "I'm just going to go golfing." And so I ended up meeting some really great people on the course, and you get to chatting. I mean, everyone's done, you get to chatting. "What do you do?" I'm like, I work at Facebook and I do marketing. And I had kind of done some other stuff throughout my 20s. I had, flipped houses, and I had a couple coffee stands. And so I was already a business owner at that point. And I was just kind of using my marketing degree for my own businesses. But then I started to meet people on the golf course, and, social media was relatively new for business at that time. Everyone was using it, for their personal, but it was a new concept to use it as businesses. And I just started helping small business owners use it to market themselves. And it just kind of took off from there. And then next thing I knew, they're referring me to their friends who are in small business, and they know someone who knows somebody. And that's how my career evolved over the, 12 years. And so I had worked in different capacities, meeting different people, meeting different celebrities. Can you help? Can you manage? A lot of my time was social media management. And you learn a lot, you wear many hats. So it's content creation, it's video, it's photography. You do all these different things, because there's just, with social media, it's not just one thing. There's a lot of people that come together to make it happen. And so about 2 years ago, I'd been working in so many different industries, and it can become a lot to organize and manage. And I just had known so many people. I grew up as an athlete and I love sports. And as this has evolved and the influencer scene has evolved, I really just started picking up working with influencers. I live in Arizona mostly full time, and there's a lot of golf influencers that are also out of Arizona. And you play golf, you meet friends, and next thing I knew, I was like, well, I think I just want to do golf full time. Like, I love it. I love being on the course. I love being out with my friends. And so I just pivoted and said, I'm only going to help social media in the golf industry for 2 reasons. One's very selfish. I think that golf industry businesses could do a better job on their social media as marketing to women. So that was kind of like a passion project of mine. And I just saw a need for that. And also, golf has been slow to evolve in its marketing. It's a sport very rooted in tradition. Its marketing tactics are still very traditional. And the courses and clubs that are doing social media for golf, it's still very male dominated in their marketing practices. You go on and you see courses where it's just men having fun. And as a female golfer, someone that's had to work really hard to get where I'm at, put in so much time, it would be nice to go check out a course in another state I want to visit and see female golfers having a good time. And so my marketing brain basically said, we need to go after this. We need to start talking to people and saying, hey, females golf, we want to be on their social medias. We want to be invited to play. And so I just think that it's time for golf as a whole, which we've seen over the last couple of years, has really started to blow up and evolve. And females are the largest growing demographic in golf right now. And with my background in marketing and being a female golfer, that's really where I want to head and what I want to talk to courses about. So that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And yeah, definitely. I think we've seen that the golf industry is slowly changing and trying to adapt and use social media a bit more. Why do you think it's important for golf clubs to consider investing the time and the resources to use social media more? And also, sorry, I want to make a side note that this is being recorded for anyone that's on here, and we will post it later. But yeah, going back to that, why do you think it's important for golf clubs to invest their time and resources? And sometimes it is challenging for golf clubs because maybe they don't have the resources that other sports do, or can't maybe appoint a single person in that area. But we've found that, there is definitely an increasing need for social media.
Yeah, I have a couple reasons. Moving forward from, I will say that millennial generation and younger, they don't use Google like the older generation does. They get on social media. So if there's a course that they're interested in, they're going to get on social media, they're going to type in that course name, and they're going to want to see it. And if you don't have a presence, not even any sort of brand awareness for your course or club, they're just really going to feel like you're irrelevant. And I think it's really important. It takes 3 to 5 years to really have a solid brand or have a trustworthy brand on social media. And so it's just something that clubs really need to start right now, because their customers are getting older and older and older. And so as we move into that 3, 5, 10 years from now, the expectation is that clubs are going to have some sort of presence on social media. And it doesn't mean they need to have a lot of followers. It just means that they need to be trying to, market to the different generations. In the past, we've had, we have newspaper or phone book or whatever it was that the generation at that time desired to look at or be sold to. And social media is that next step. It's really important to be mindful of that we're not hard selling on social media. And that's where I think some clubs can go sideways is they put a lot of deals on there and clip art and discount things. And I think really what people want to see, customers want to see, what does the course look like? What are the offerings? What are the cars? What does Whole Nine have? Just things that they can expect. And it's not always about an ROI. And I think that getting general managers and course owners to understand, yes, you're investing in your social media and it might not pay out right away. It's not going to pay out right away. It's an investment for your future as you continue on down the road. You're putting that time and money, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money. The biggest piece of advice that I give to courses is spend the money, get some professional photography, get some videography, and then you have, this bank of good quality photos and video. And I think most courses do that, but try and do it a couple different times a year, seasonally. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And then, give a high school student a summer job and let them say, hey, you want to have one person that can be at your course that's in your day-to-day operations, just out showing people, hey, it's awesome to come here. It's awesome to play here. And that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. That doesn't take a lot of social media education. It's just being more mindful about the efforts that you're putting into it and making sure that the content is that of what someone would want to see that's never been there. And not just photographing from the context of being there, being a worker and someone knowing, but looking at it from a viewpoint of, if I was coming from another state, what would I want to know or see about your course? Or maybe showing, if you have a special course designer, talking about why that's important. You have a lot of courses that will say, hey, this was designed by so-and-so. And to someone that might be new in golf, that, that would be great content, is why is that person important? So when you're giving information, you're educating, that doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and that can produce a lot of return ROI for courses and clubs down the road, because it kind of seats you in an area of, hey, we're trying to talk to you. We want you to come visit us, come engage with us. Does that help?
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit on a few great things there. First of all, I love the idea of having an intern come in and kind of taking a little bit of that load off. And even if it's just going around on the golf course and getting some cool pictures and stuff. And the younger generation is so good at that stuff.
Yeah.
So capturing nice video, really pretty picturesque photos of the golf course at sunrise or sunset, things like that are really great for engagement. And then I also love what you mentioned about kind of focusing on what makes our course special. So like that history of the course, or the designer, or the special food items or something that are at the halfway, something like that, that it's different than other courses, and that's what makes your course interesting. So kind of leading into that. So say you are a golf course that's just starting out on social media. Maybe they have set up some platforms in the past and they got their handles and stuff like that, but they really haven't done much.
Yeah.
Where would you suggest that they start? And also, what platforms do you think? Because I know I get a lot of questions, should we be on Instagram? Should we be on Facebook? Things like that. What's your suggestion to some of those questions?
I think it really depends on what kind of course you are, what kind of club you are, because that's going to depend on what platform. If you're a private club, you really want to be on that LinkedIn, that X, formerly known as Twitter. You want to stay in that kind of like business market. You still definitely want to have maybe an Instagram, just because it will showcase the club, because it is a creator platform. It's very visual. But I think as a majority, most courses, most clubs, most golf industry businesses, I think Instagram's a great place to start. It has a wide demographic. it's important to understand that the age group on Instagram is 25 to 45. That's the meat of Instagram. So if your target market, is private clubs, Facebook's a great place because Facebook really has that 55 plus market, which is where a lot of private clubs are, is that 55 plus market. And so just kind of knowing who your target market is first, and what platforms age group wise, where they would hang out at. So
Yeah. And also going back to what we were just talking about how the importance of social media. I think one thing also is we not only use it as a search tool, but we use it as a customer service tool. So it's really important to not only be posting, but also be monitoring and using social listening. So in your opinion, since you've created many golf social media strategies for different golf courses or influencers, what are kind of the key elements of creating a strategy with the perspective of a golf course, I guess you would say?
yeah, so some advice that I would give if someone wanted to tackle it, I think all courses and clubs should be handling their social media in-house. I think that every business should do that in-house because you need to have one person that is in it all the time, that can post regularly, that can respond regularly. Like you said, it's a customer service. So when you're hiring someone like a social media manager that's outside of your day-to-day operations, that doesn't really serve you in the best capacity. So the way that I tell people what they should do is get a strategy set, come to someone like myself who does strategy and say, hey, these are our goals. We want to market to women. We want to market to youth. And, maybe we want to have these special tournaments throughout the year. And we want people to see us as this fun golf course. What I would do is I would put together a strategy and I would say, okay, these are the things we're going to talk about. These are the things that we're going to say. And I would send you to go get certain types of photography and videography that would support those goals. Okay, we're going to hire a photographer and a videographer. We want to support those goals because that's what we want people to know about you. You're a fun course, you want to talk to kids, and they would go out and get this content for marketing to women or kids, for junior golfers. And once that professional content comes back, I say, okay, great. We do a shared folder. I look at that content and we say, okay, the next 90 days, this is what we're going to post underneath things. And what that does is it kind of calls to those people with the imagery, with the copy, with the words that you're using. The algorithm picks up on that. It says, okay, these are the visuals. It's really important for a club to realize that whatever visuals you post, that's mirroring your customer base. So, and that's how the algorithm sees it. So when you post junior golfers, it will, the algorithm now, especially AI, it's smart, it will scan that and it'll say, okay, these are junior golfers or these are women golfers. And it knows people like myself or you who are women golfers because we've posted photos of us golfing on our own social media. It's going to say, hey, do you want to see this because this course posted it? And so once you have a collective good quality photography, that's where the high school student can kind of come in that mimics that because you have a brand plan strategy from someone like myself. And so your course has a designated one high school student or intern or what have you, and they're following that plan. We're posting one junior golfer a week, one women golfer a week, and we're talking about our events every week. And once you do that for 30, 60, 90 days, it becomes easier and you start hitting those goals. And I think oftentimes it gets confused where people think a lot of followers. Well, a lot of followers doesn't mean a lot of sales. That doesn't mean ROI. I've seen clubs have less than 1,000 followers and be booked out in tee times because their content was so great. The goal was not followers. The goal was booking more tee times. That's what we sat down to do. So that's what our call was. That was the goal.
Yeah, for sure. Just going off of that, I'm curious what your thoughts are on, if we pulled up probably 20 different golf course Facebooks or Instagrams, it's more so them just posting about an offer or an event coming up and, sign up or book a tea time. It's just more salesy, promotional.
Yeah.
So what would be your suggestion to some of those golf courses on how they can like mix it up and make it feel fresh? And, what would your suggestion be for, is it every like 5 posts that maybe you can throw in that sales post or just keep it in the stories? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, it just really circles back to the goals of the golf course. I mean, the goal is always more sales. It's always more money. It's always more revenue. It's always, book more tee times. So I think stepping back from that is people want to have a good time, is looking at the fundamentals of golf. Why do we golf? We golf because we want to go hang out with our friends. We golf because we need to relax. We golf, and it's highlighting your social media. You should be selling a feeling, not a product. So when I come to your social media, it's really important that I can come there and I can feel what it would be like to spend a day at your golf course. Is it quiet? Is it fun? Do you play music? What does it look like to be there? So I think like salesy, yes, you can do a promotion. I I think the position nowadays, especially with the generation and how people like to be sold to and marketed to, if you want to do a salesy post or you want to say, hey, half off tee times on Tuesdays, every golf course has its regulars. Every golf course, for the most part, has club members or even, public, private, it doesn't matter. Have that person tell people. People want to hear it from their friends. They don't want to hear it from you. So, lean on that college golf team that practices at your club. Lean on, those junior golfers to say, hey, we do half off golf on it's cute, versus hard selling with a Canva clip art. Because
Yeah.
people overlook it, they scroll past it. It doesn't,
Yeah.
social media is emotional. It should feel like a conversation with friends. It should feel like you're connecting with someone. And I think that when you're posting a lot of salesy things, people just go, they're not paying attention. Use some of that professional photography and videography that I talked about. That's your bank. You get 30, 40 good photos, and then those photos should become, part of your marketing material or, someone that plays at your club. It is crazy to me when I go to courses and I see them use, Canva um Canva photos of other courses. You're a golf course. Your course is beautiful. It's photographable. It's already a great spot. Use your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that is quite shocking sometimes. And then that really throws off the audience because
Yeah.
you're looking at their social media and you're saying, okay, what am I expecting? I don't know if I want to book at this golf course. I don't even know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah. Or
always
you
interesting.
see other golf courses on one, well, and if you're a golfer, you've played a lot of places, right? So you're like, that's not there. What? You know?
There's mountains in the background and
Yeah. And you're in Arizona.
yeah. So we kind of spoke on this a little bit about not seeing ROI maybe right away.
Yeah.
Um, what are some tips that you would say, to just keep going at it and creating consistency in the posting? Because I think a lot of golf courses go about it with the right intention and, we're going to post. Sometimes maybe they overcommit and they're saying, we're going to post every day or every week. And, we're going to see this huge spike in sales because we joined Facebook or Instagram. And then it doesn't happen. And then they fall off and then they start. Then you go to their social media and they haven't posted something in maybe 6 months. And then as the golfer, you're thinking, oh, well, are they still open? What's going on at that course?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what are some tips for golf courses just kind of stick to it and maybe if they're not seeing the engagement they'd like, how they could perhaps increase that or any other metrics that they could look at that will show them that they're making little strides.
Yeah, so social media, it's kind of like stoking a fire. You're just really not going to get a lot of engagement. It's a game of patience. And anybody that tells you otherwise, I've been in this a long time. I've looked at a lot of analytics. You have to be patient. It takes so long for the algorithm to start trusting you and pushing you out. So it's kind of like, I back up and I say, like, Google websites that have been online for a long time are trusted websites. And so, you kind of have that. With your social media, it takes a bit of time for the algorithm to trust you and to pick up your rhythm. And so I think a good consistency for anyone that wants to just start and that they can maintain is every 3 days do a post. And having a content calendar, really sitting down first. I think social media is overwhelming because you're just taking pictures, posting pictures, and I think people need to sit down with a content calendar. What do we want our customers to know about us? And maybe start there. The first 30 days, you're going to share history and information about the course. Who built it, who designed it, who are the people that work there, highlight the employees. What days do you mow the lawn? So people can avoid those. I mean, that's my home golf course posts that, mowing the lawns this morning. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm not golfing there. And, just different things like that, giving a lot of information, education about the course. And then maybe month 2, you might move into some more, hey, this is the strategy I would use to play hole 1. This is what hole 2 looks like. Watch out for this bunker. Or maybe some, videos of someone getting out of that bunker. What would be the best club? Or how would you approach this shot? Or and it doesn't take a lot of effort or money. But go into it with a game plan. Start with information and history, maybe that first 30 days. Every 3 days, you're making a post about that. Month 2, maybe you're talking about the course as a whole. You're going to go over, holes 1 through 18. And I think a lot of times people think they can't post. Oh, we already posted that. It's got to be a new piece of content. It does not. You could post the same piece of content, which we've done. We run A/B testing all the time. I have posted the same piece of content with the same copy 5 times every 3 to 4 days. And it gets different engagement every time. And not one single time has people said, oh, well, you already posted that. And that's because if you have 1,000 followers, at any given time, only 100 of those 1,000 followers are online. Of those 100 people, when you post a piece of content, the algorithm only shows it to 10. So you as a business have to hope that that piece of content speaks to those 10 people. If I posted a piece of content directed for women and those 10 people online were only men, and they don't really care about like women golf, they're never going to engage with that piece of content. And maybe a different time I post that exact same piece of content and 10 women are on, they're going to engage with that piece of content. So it's really important that people or businesses or anyone that's going to be running social media understands that you have to be a broken record. You have to say your message over and over again. You have to tell your story all the time. You have to tell your story with 5 different photos because you don't know who it's going to sing to at what time. So you could have a 90-day strategy plan and you could stick with that through the rest of the year. Because on day 1, you might be talking about your course and information and you post it with a picture of a woman golfer. And then you get to day 90 where you're starting this rhythm over again. And it's the same copy that you're telling, your course story, but you might post it with a junior golfer this time telling the story. That's going to be a new piece of content that it's going to go out. Over time, that's going to build and your target audience will find you because the more the algorithm trusts you, the more it will send it out to like people. But again, it's that circling back to you have to mirror on your social media the customers that you want to attract to your course. Being very mindful, a lot of people say, well, I want everybody to buy from me. I mean, everybody wants as many sales, but that's just not the reality of it. So private clubs are private clubs for a reason. Public courses are public course. Play into your strengths for your business. You know who your target market is, so double down on that on your social media with the thought process of wanting to evolve, wanting to grow, wanting to keep up with the times. And that's where the women golfer, I think that every course and every club and every golf industry business could do a better job marketing to women. and posting things that women would be interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's a great piece of advice. Evergreen content. So if you've never heard of that before, Google it
Yeah.
and see how you create it. And like she mentioned, it can be using the same photo multiple times with different copy, or using different photos with the same copy and just seeing how it resonates with your audience. Also, I wanted to mention, the more that golf courses use their social media as a place of communication and not just, sharing pictures, using their stories and saying, like you were mentioning about the grass cutting, like if your members or golfers know to go to your social media because you're giving updates like that, your algorithm's only going to work better. People are going to have
Yes.
more engagement with your page. So that's it. That's a good tip there. Um, and then I also want to touch on, because we've been talking a lot about photo, but reels obviously have been huge lately, and social media is always changing. The landscape is always changing. We even have AI now on Instagram
Yeah.
and Facebook. So what would you suggest people focus on when they're actually creating content? Photos, videos, using stories, creating reels. Uh, what have you
Yeah.
seen works best with your
Um,
clients?
it's what are you capable as a club of doing? Not everybody's capable. Reels take a lot of time. Anyone that's created a reel knows that it takes a lot of time, and it's not easy peasy lemon squeezy. So with reels, I would like to say post 2 reels a week, 1 carousel, one photo. If you can commit to that strategy, that's very difficult to do. That being said, the best piece of advice I can give to courses is lean on your customers, lean on the college golf team, lean on the high school golf teams, lean on your junior leagues, lean on ladies club, lean on men's club. Send that out to them and say, hey, could you guys, send me some videos of you guys out on the course today, or who got closest to the pin, especially your college and high school golf teams. You tell those kids, you give them a task or a topic, you are going to get some good content, because this is their world. It doesn't have to be difficult. It just takes a little bit of planning and a little bit of asking. And you, as the course, I think a lot of people think, well, we've got to create all this content. You don't. You can build your community faster as a private club, as a course, if you're leaning on everyone that patronizes your business and leaning into their strengths.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think, yeah, just going on your Instagram and seeing who's maybe tagged you and reaching
Yes.
out to them, or resharing posts like that. Even going on, I think, your Google page and sharing reviews, things like that is always helpful as well, or photos that people might have taken on your business profile.
Yeah, I think user generated content is really important. It's important. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, like honoring the people that spend money with your business, saying thanks. Hey, we see you. We appreciate you. That is always going to be the best form of marketing, because what's going to happen is someone tags your course, they're out golfing with their friends, or they have an event there, what have you, and they tag your course. That ends up in your tag photos over on Instagram. You as a course should be mindful. Hey, who's been tagging us lately? Who's been playing here? And you go and you see these really great pieces of content, and you message them, hey, can we post this on our page? This was so great. And of course they're going to say, yeah. And then guess what they're going to do? They're going to send it to all their friends. And they're going to say, well, look, XYZ course posted our day event. And then they're going to post that onto their stories. And it's going to be sent out to everybody that follows them. They're going to see, and they're going to go, wow, that was a really cool course, or that was a really cool event. I want to go there. And that is how you get a lot of free social media content and marketing that doesn't take a lot of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to kind of what you said was your passion project of kind of generating more female posts and just growing the game of golf for women and showing that at golf clubs. I think that speaking to some of our clients, I know that's a big pain point for them is they want to bring in more women. We see that more women are playing golf, but maybe they're not, joining the leagues that you have or the tournaments, or they're maybe not finding that community. What are some ways that maybe they can better market to females, or even going out into the community and finding different businesses to bring them over to the course and start creating that community at your golf club?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so in Arizona, women golfing, it's a big thing down, but I think that clinics are a great way to get women golfing. So something I often talk about is men don't realize from a woman's perspective, but my brother, he golfed growing up our whole life. He was always invited. My grandpa invited him, it's just kind of like a boys' club. I was never invited. I was an athlete my whole life, never invited to play golf. And I think that boys are just exposed to golf much sooner in life. And so they just learn, they just pick it up and learn, and then they do it. Well, women, unless your dad, takes you out and takes you golfing, it's just, you're not as exposed to the environment of golf. And so maybe you might want to learn later in life. And something that I've seen among a lot of the clinics that I have attended with women who've learned golf later in life is they get invited from a friend who played golf in college. Hey, do you want to come play golf? I'm like, I don't know how to play. I've never even, and it's like, where do you start? Golf is not a sport that you can pick up. It's not like football. You can't just go throw a ball or kick a ball like soccer. And I think clinics would be the best thing for every course and club to do, is just have these clinics for women and have it at a cheaper rate, because golf is expensive, getting into it, getting clubs, maybe having free clubs available. There's just so many barriers to entry for women to go start golfing when they don't have any foundation or any basis to just try. I think that a clinic at a golf course, hey, come pay $50 for 2 hours. We're going to drink wine. We'll provide the clubs for you. That feels very inviting for women. And they're gonna be like, wow, this course is so cool. And I can go to these clinics every couple of weeks. I can meet other women, and it will just feel like a really cool space for women to learn to golf in a safe way, where they don't feel like they're in some sort of competition. That's the other thing, is I've heard from women so many times they get invited out, by their husbands, and playing golf with boys is very different than playing with girls. It can feel really intense. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So I think that creating the space for women to learn from other women that isn't crazy expensive would be a good place to start. And that's, bring in a D1 athlete, bring in a female PGA pro, bring in somebody, and then talk about it for 30 days. So there's a couple courses that I work with where they do these clinics. They have these great courses, and then they just post one thing on their social media. And I'll say, hey, I thought we were talking about doing these clinics. So I posted it one time. You need to post it every day for 30 days. You need to say, hey, by the way, don't forget about our women's clinic. Don't forget about, we're doing this, I get that's that repetitiveness of getting everyone to see it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge pain point in general. I mean, in marketing in general, but a lot in golf, I think, as well, because maybe there aren't as many resources, or maybe there isn't that one point person. So things definitely aren't as proactive as probably clubs would like them to be.
Yeah.
Or yeah, so they post that one time, and they think that everyone on Facebook has seen that post and they should know about it. And then they're a little bit surprised when people don't show up or come into the pro shop, the week later, and, oh, I didn't know about that. And especially with social media, like at least with email, we can see who we sent it to, who's opened it. We can send it to them again, to those specific people. But I think, like you were saying before, with social media, it definitely takes a few repetitions
Yeah.
for sure, and posting on different areas, and seeing what works best, and going from there. And I think also, like I was mentioning, using the stories or Twitter, however your club operates, to kind of communicate those details, those day-to-day events, things like that, and having golfers know that that's where they can find the information is really important too. But yeah, I love the idea of bringing in female instructors, because I know I've spoke to a lot of women that are starting out with golf, and they don't necessarily like to play with their husband or or their
Yeah.
dad or their brother, and they want to be with other women. They want to learn from other women too. They find it a lot less intimidating.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, just a more fun social event. I think, like you were saying, having a wine night and bringing something in like that, to make it a little bit more comfortable and social, and golf is there, but it's maybe not, the focus. Like, we have to be getting better in this hour and
Yes.
make it really serious. So I love that
It
for
should
sure.
be fun. I mean, especially if you're starting to play golf later in life. Like, if you start young and maybe that, your goal is the road to the PGA, but I mean, if women in their 25, 30s, like they just want to go and have a group of women that they can hang out with, it should be a fun time. It should be a nice little couple hour getaway. Um, you touched on the pro shop, and I think that this is really something that golf courses could separate themselves on their social medias. Again, saying it over and over again. Pro shops don't have a lot of offerings for women. Even my home course, I go in and they might have a glove for women. They might have some pink balls, and this is a big pro shop, it's got a lot of stuff in it. And there's nothing for me to buy. I go in, I want to buy something. And I think that that would be something that courses also need to consider. Is the reality of it is most courses are owned by men. You can go on the NGCOA and see all the course owners. So I think it would be great if course owners or general managers were more mindful about bringing in women to help buy things for the pro shop. They don't need to consistently be there or do an hourly pay, but bring a woman buyer in, and that's in it and knows kind of what women are looking for, that matches the brand of the course, right? Because some courses do have a dress code or requirements, but I think that's really important is, hey, we're trying to have things here for you guys. Crazy one to think about too is something that we just highlighted on a course that I worked with, is they have really nice bathrooms out on the course, which guys don't really think about, but that's important to women, to have a nice bathroom out on course
And the
and clean bathrooms. I'm sorry.
and the frequency of the bathrooms on the course is something women think about as well.
Yes, exactly. And guys, my husband, he chuckled at that when we had played at a course a couple months ago, and I was like, I have to use the bathroom. Guys have no problem using the bathroom. And so I'm driving around, I have to skip a hole because I can't find the bathroom anywhere. And then I finally go all the way back to the clubhouse and I go running in, and I'm like, you guys don't have a bathroom out on the course. And he's like, the guys don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
What? And I just thought, at first I felt a little bit offended, but I mean, that's just kind of like the nature of it. I've been golfing for years, so I get it. But something simple like that, which seems silly, a perspective that I think a lot of people wouldn't think about, but that was kind of the marketing point for a club that I started working with, is, hey, look how nice our bathrooms are out on course. And you would not believe how much engagement that post got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Not only saying we have female programs, it's we are a female friendly club. And that
yeah,
could go for any segment or gender, juniors,
for
seniors,
sure.
whatever. Yeah.
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 And really, I think ultimately what it boils down to is stepping out of working in the club and having context around of working in that club, and looking at yourself of like, when you're a customer and you go to another club or you go to another course as a customer, because we're all customers somewhere at other courses. What do I want to see as a new customer? What's important to me? What do I care about? I could think of a long list. When I travel to other courses, this is what I'm looking to do at this course. Or, one of my favorite places, it's close to my home, is Bandon Dunes, right? It's a destination golf course also. why people want to see whatever it is, whatever their box check is for abandoned dunes, they're going there. And if you use that framework or that thought process of why would someone want to come here? What can I show them that other golfers would want to see, or women or juniors or what have you, from an outside perspective of not ever being here? And then start talking to your customers. Hey, what are your favorite things about this place? What do you love about it? What do you think we should change? And I think that it sounds very simple, but when I say that to clubs, they just like, I don't know why we haven't done that. You know, relying on your customers to just come forth with that information. I mean, people might complain here and there, hey, your French fries are stale, or whatever people say, but really asking your customers, hey, why do you come here every week? Why did you sign up for men's sub? Why did you sign up for lady? You know, what's your favorite hole on this course and why? Things like that's really going to give you some insight into what you could be posting as a course or club.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I also think that, talking about going to other golf courses, you can also look at their social media pages and think, okay, what was the purpose behind people that, do a great job at social media, like Bandon Dunes, like Pinehurst, like Cabot Properties. You could go on their social media and kind of start dissecting them. Okay, why did they post this? What type of post is this? Who is it calling to? And then see how you could maybe apply that to your golf course, based
Absolutely.
based on your goals and the unique features that you guys have. I think that would be a good tip as well. So you've worked with many golf courses, golf influencers, been in the industry for a while now. What are some of the common mistakes that you see? I'll kick it off with one for me that I see a lot, is that the brand is just not what it should be. There's some people that say you can go off brand, but I definitely think that, like we were talking about, Google social media is almost like a Google now. So you need to reflect your brand a little bit. If you're a private club that, has a strict dress code and it's very traditional, you want to definitely portray that online. And
Yep.
sometimes I see that golf courses just, there's not a direct correlation between what the golf course represents and what their social media portrays. So that's one for me, but I'm sure you have seen many common mistakes or faux pas online.
Yeah, that's a big one. I talk about that one a lot on my LinkedIn. Is there is just kind of a mismanagement in the marketing and then what the club requires. And so oftentimes I see this a lot more with luxury clubs or private clubs, is they're trying, but they haven't really invested the time or energy in the know-how, or reached out to like a strategist like myself and said, hey, this is the brand image we want to portray. Can you help us do that and get that on track? So you'll hear about this luxury club. In my opinion, I'm going to say this with a grain of salt, I just don't really feel like private clubs need to be doing a ton on social media other than just posting their course. Because if you're not trying to gain new membership, social media it's more of like being invited to someone's, hey, come over. Hey, we want to hang out with you. Hey, as a private club, there's a lot of rigor to jump through a lot of times with, there's just things that you have to be a member of a private club. You're going to reach out to do that. You're going to have to do that. And so I just don't think that that's something they really need to do. It's better as a private club to just not do it, or just post pictures of the course and not really worry about the engagement that's going on. Unless you're a club that uses it to speak to your members. In that case, I do think that if you're using your social media to speak directly and only to your members, that should be a private page that you have, a members only page. But if you want to have some sort of public presence, it should just be professional photography and videography, and you just leave it at that. Hey, this is what we're doing here, because people will see it, and then, they'll go to the club's website and reach out to sales and say, hey, I want to be a member. From a public perspective of social media and courses that are open to the public sector, I think that they should not be hard selling so much and really lean into what it is that makes them special. for their customers and why their customers are coming there. Again, that's the asking the question. Ask your customers, why do you come here? Why do you like it here? And then whatever they tell you, just post that content, because that's probably why a lot of people like going there. It doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. You know, you could get some really good professional photography and videography for $1,500, $2,000. And even then, I mean, if you're, you know, really trying to stay on budget, reach out to the local colleges in your area and say, hey, do you have a college student that needs a project? Because I have a golf course that needs to be photographed or videoed, or anyone that's even in, you know, selling products. You know, you've got a shirt company, you've got, I don't know, a ball company, what have you. Reach out to your colleges and say, hey, I would love for you to come do your project here with my product or at my course. And, you know, we'll give you 5 free rounds on top of it. And you'll have all, you know, you'll have your stuff for your project and we'll have content and video. It doesn't have to be expensive. You just have to be resourceful.
Mhm. Yes. I was just thinking, we didn't speak about this offline, but I was just curious your experience working with clients with paid advertising, and if you think that's beneficial for clubs to maybe take that on during certain seasons of the golf, or sorry, during certain times of the golf season. Maybe they're doing a member push, maybe it's Black Friday, things like that. Just your thoughts on social media advertising in general.
Yeah, I think it should be part of everybody's strategy. So the way that advertising works on social media is you have to have, it starts with good content first. So ads, you may put a $200 budget, and let's say you run an ad, but it's not very good. It's just kind of like a whatever picture of your course, and then you run an ad that says, hey, come play golf here. But no one really engages with it. And the algorithm is smart. Engagement means we've seen that people are liking photos less and less. They're commenting less and less. But engagement actually is now being, the data is showing is however long someone stops on a photo. So they might look at it, but they're not actively doing anything with it, but that still counts as engagement. If you run an ad on a piece of content that doesn't get a lot of engagement, you actually get charged more, because the way that the social media sites see it is they say, okay, well, you're paying us and you're forcing us to put this in front of our customers' feeds in their faces, and they don't really like it. So now you're just being annoying. So we're going to charge you more for that piece of content. Versus if you hire, you know, a photographer or someone, and you make some relatively good, funny content, and then you use that piece of content, you see what kind of engagement that gets, you post it. If it gets a decent amount of engagement with your current followers, then run that as an ad, because the algorithm will actually, it will be less money for you to run it. And the algorithm will say, hey, people think this is funny, or people like this. And it will actually push it out to more people for free beyond your budget. So advertising should be part of your social media strategy, but you need to be mindful about what it is you're paying. I've seen clubs, you know, they'll boost every single post. And you don't want to do that. You want to boost the posts that already are getting really good engagement on your page naturally, then pay to boost that, because the algorithm will reward you, and it will be a lot more cost effective for your advertising budget to push out posts that people already enjoy looking at. I would say, you know, if we were leading up to the golf season, you would want to start boosting posts depending on where you live. You know, February, March, you want to start thinking about getting those posts going, and then start boosting posts April, May. Now we're, you know, into June, you know, like we're in golf season now, June, July. You're going to see a lot of people step offline, and we call it the summer slowdown. You know, people say, well, I'm posting this and no one's even getting on the internet right now. It's summer break, people are traveling, and being mindful that the season, whatever you know, in the summer, social media gets cut in half because people are out doing stuff. So you want all of your marketing, if you're in the golf industry, to really take place before golf season starts. And then, you know, circling back to that every 3 days, if you're a course or club, hey, going out there, because now we're in full swing of golf season. This is what's going on. This is what's been going on at the club. Here's some pictures. Here's what's been going on with juniors. And you're just posting in that day-to-day operations. We move into the fall. and you really start talking, you shift and you start maybe talking about more clinics. And then in the winter, you focus on information and education. And then we come back to spring and you start really pumping the club again for golf season. That's kind of the rhythm, in my opinion, of what has been working well for the clubs that I work with.
Yeah, that's some great advice. Speaking of, so that's something that's worked well for you. So just talking about your experience and being in social media for quite a long time, what was kind of maybe a major tipping point? I don't know if you've always been maybe managing your business the way you have today, but has there been any point in your career where you've changed the way you've looked at social media or how you work with clients and clubs, and or something where you wish you knew how to do something, back in the day that has led to your success now, if that
Yeah.
makes sense?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's so hard to say, I would have done this back then. I would have done this differently because we just didn't have the option or the tools or the capacity. I mean, the machine that social media is now. I try and keep my head above the water, when things that I wouldn't have done now back then. I think that moving forward as a person, I think if you're an influencer, get on social media, you want to be an influencer, get on social media. Social media is also a very scary place, so the mom in me, I wouldn't have put my kids on social media early on if I knew then what I know now. Or there's some other things I would have done different with my business. I think that I would have built differently. I never really built my business on social media. So that's another thing is people often ask me, like, you don't have Instagram, who are you to advise on this? And it's because I spent all of my career working. That was probably my downfall and I don't want to say downfall because I'm very busy. I've stayed very busy, but I think that I spent all of my career working behind the scenes, working as a social media manager, working as a strategist, building other businesses, building influencers, building everybody else, that I didn't really have a want or time to build my own. And I also wasn't really in the market to build my own because, again, with golf, when I had free time and I wasn't thinking about working, I would be golfing and I would be out on courses with other business owners. And that has been the rhythm of my career. Now looking back, I wish I would have spent more time building my website, building my own social medias. But for what purpose? I don't know. Like, just to have a presence. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm not out here trying to like convince people I'm legitimate. Take my advice, don't take my advice, I don't care.
Yeah, it is quite interesting that, definitely in other industries, you don't have to be online, saying how great of a lawyer you are. But it seems to
Yeah.
be an expected thing, for social media, which I can get to an extent, but yeah. So we're going to open it up to a few questions in just a little bit. So if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat and we'll get to them. But I just want to end off with an open-ended question again, kind of where you see the future of social media going in the golf industry and maybe how golf courses can prepare for that. I mean, it's so hard to say exactly, but with AI coming out and I don't know, channels are changing every day, like we mentioned. But where do you think it's headed?
Well, I have a couple thoughts on that. I think it's not just about where social media is headed, but just like looking at the golf industry as a whole. Where is the golf industry headed? And then just try and mirror that. We're seeing a lot of golf being gamified. People want to have fun golfing. We're seeing a lot of people pull away from, I mean, I'm always going to be a traditional golfer. I love it, but at the same time, I do think that golf needs to evolve. I'm going to see a lot of short courses being done, maybe mimicking that more fun, gamified version of golf that speaks to everybody. Topgolf has really taken the lead on that, and maybe try and mimic that somehow at your course. We're seeing a lot of virtual golfing, and we're seeing a lot of courses pick up some virtual golf, which I think is great. It's a good place to start for someone that's never done it. maybe lean into that. Looking at the future of golf and the gamification of golf will really give you a good idea of what you can focus on for content for your own business. How do we bring that idea? Good content starts offline. And so if you want to have good content for your golf course, you want to have good marketing material, you got to really be thinking about what can we do offline? What events can we host? What games can we play? That's all filmable, photographable content to invite people to come to your course or business. The future of it, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of times when you say social media, a lot of people say, oh, Instagram and Facebook, but social media is much bigger than that. We see, kids that 23 and under demographic, they're on Snapchat a lot. They love Snapchat. So as a course, if you were really trying to target that junior golfer, you may consider getting on Snapchat and posting daily things about the fun things that are going on. There's a course down the road from us that they do $2 buckets of balls for, junior golfers. And so they're posting about that on there, and they are busy and parents love it. And it makes people feel like they have community. Reddit is another, I know a lot of people are like, Reddit, that's wild. But, a lot of people really trust Reddit, so if your target market was someone that wanted more information or education, and that was something that your course provided, that was something you guys really leaned into as a course, you would want to get on there and talk about that because your target market would be there. So there's just other avenues. It's not just Facebook and Instagram. And I do not think that you should put all your eggs in that basket because they're both owned by the same company. I think it's really important that as a business owner, you branch out. I think every business, if you're going to dabble in social media, it should be at least 3 different platforms, and you should also own your audience. You need to be posting all the time, getting people's emails, because I've seen it time and time again. People will build these huge followings on social media. It'll get deleted. It will get hacked. Something will happen. And they don't have any emails to reach out. They don't own their audience. They haven't collected those emails to reach out and say, hey, we got hacked. Hey, we got deleted. If your Instagram or Facebook goes down, they're following you on other platforms like X, or LinkedIn or whatever platform you're using. And you can say, hey, we got hacked on our Instagram. We're rebuilding. This is our new page. So you want to have access to your customers. I think that is something that people need to expect going into the future. That is something I see daily, is hacked accounts. So gamifying, how do you bring that online? How do you bring that game atmosphere from your course and then shooting that content online, and then really making sure that you're doing social media on multiple platforms in the language of those platforms.
Yeah, I love that. And staying ahead of the trends.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love that example, using different platforms, like even if it's a niche program, junior camps, for instance, using Snapchat for that, or TikTok to follow along that week. I think that's great advice right there. Well, this has been an absolute masterclass. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your expertise. And anyone that's watching will also follow up with an email. But if you want to have more tips and advice, just go ahead and follow Anella on LinkedIn. I believe it's her name, at Nova on LinkedIn. She's always posting on there and giving some great tips and advice. So we'll open it up to questions and we'll go from there. So Jody, I don't know if there was any questions that came through.
I did get some come through on our LinkedIn account. Some really good ones. I'll keep it short because I know we're running up close to time here. One came in, we recently had an event at the club and they left a negative review on our Facebook account. How do you handle negative comments or feedback on your social media channels?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. That's something that I get a lot. I think oftentimes you should, that's the social listening, right? If they leave a negative review, you have to ask yourself why. As a club, what can we do better? What did we do? Is it legitimate? Do you know that person was a customer, or do they have a relevant concern or complaint? Because as a business, your job is to serve your customer, serve the community that you're marketing to. So I think with negative reviews, I think it's important to acknowledge that they were concerned or didn't like something, and then remedy that in the club and say, hey, this is what we're going to do better. But I think acknowledgement is always really important. Oftentimes I think businesses want to delete that. And at the end of the day in marketing, we're only human. All of our clubs are only being run by humans. Like, we make mistakes, stuff happens, there's going to be an off day. But I think with negative comments, it's always important to just acknowledge their feelings and then figure out how you can remedy it, and let them know that in a public space. Hey, you know what? You're right. We had a bad day that day, or it happened, and we're going to make it right, and reach out to them. Hey, can we give you a free round?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I think that's always interesting. And I like to look at how businesses reply to negative comments as well. I think it speaks a lot to the club. And if they're just left unanswered, it also raises a flag, I think, for customers looking to potentially visit a location. Because again,
yeah.
you're not sure if it's a valid complaint or not. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and if you know it's not if you know it's not a valid complaint and it's just, some internet bot or troll or what have you, that's the only time I would recommend just delete it. It's not even relevant. But if it's a relevant customer and they're going on and they're saying that publicly in that space, I mean, we're all human, and we're all adults enough to understand stuff happens, days fall apart. It is what it is. It's just, how are you going to respond? And I think that's important, and that you let everyone know how you're willing to respond and fix it.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right, I think maybe just one more question. We don't want to.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So this next one says, we hire a lot of college kids in season here, and I'm a much older operator. They tell me we need TikTok to promote our course, but I'm not sure that's the route we should go. Please tell me other courses are using this platform. I need justification.
That's a trick question, but I will say, I think TikTok's important. I think what happens is when you're an older course owner, you aren't in it, and there are plenty of people that make money that want to spend that money that are under 26, and that 13 to 26 demographic uses TikTok, and their money is just as good. They may not be the majority market that is patronizing courses. They don't have a lot of money. But even that 18 to 26, they're working. A lot of them are working. They have their own apartments. They're spending money. They're going and hanging out with their friends. And so I do think it is important that you have some sort of presence for that age group. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with TikTok, because we don't know what's going to go on with TikTok in a year. So I wouldn't say put all your eggs in that basket. But I think it's pretty harmless to post, a reel once or twice a week on TikTok. It doesn't require a lot. You could post the same reel on Instagram, because they present the same to the same audience, and that would be great. I don't think that you should go full send into TikTok. I don't think that about any platform. Especially because we have golfers that range, from young kids to older. So it's important that we're creating content for each age demographic, which all live on different platforms. I think TikTok's one of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's great advice. Sound advice. And also, don't just create natively on the platform, like you were mentioning. Create the video and then share it elsewhere. So, if TikTok does get banned, you'll still have all your content.
Exactly. That's that whole if it goes down situation, right? So, and really, I think that clubs really need to focus on owning their audience. You need to own your audience. You need to ask for those emails. You need to, and I know even as I'm a customer, right? I hate getting all these junk emails, but I do love getting the emails from the places that I like to go. I like knowing what's going on at any given time. So anyone that's invested in your business is going to have no problem getting emails from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people, kind of going back to that repetitive post scenario, you think that you're maybe being annoying by posting, the same thing too many times or sending an email. But the truth is, we look at our inbox every single day, and we might not open an email from a business, but we're still interested in that business. It's just
Yeah.
we're not interested in that precise thing that was sent that day. But maybe in 5 days we open the next email or engage with the next post. So
Yeah.
goes back to that consistency. But
And it's a comfort thing. Something I would advise is, as a club, do something that's unique to you all the time. You know, like maybe Tim tries food from the kitchen every Friday and he talks about it. And he's just going to give a review. And it's funny and it's great, because then what ends up happening is, your customers, your audience, they are like, oh, it's Friday, I want to see what he's saying about the turn dogs, or I want to see, and it's funny, and it makes it very unique, and then they'll get on just for that. And it's not just you're producing content to entertain, but they're actually coming to you to see what you're doing for the week.
absolutely. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there. I don't want to, overextend our our stay. And thank you so much, Anella, for offering all your sound advice. And there were so many golden nuggets sprinkled in there. So I'm sure this is worth a rewatch or a few. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And I hope it was beneficial for all of our listeners.
Thank you. It was fun. Thank you for having me on.
Of course.